Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going headfirst into the world of a truly unique fish, the L333 King Tiger Pleco.
A fantastic choice for a deep dive, I have to say.
Now, if you're a fan of catfish or just striking aquarium inhabitants in general, this one's going to be right up your alley.
Absolutely. The L333, with its black and yellow-white pattern.
It's like a tiny superhero.
Yes, exactly. It's a showstopper for sure, and we're going to cover it all.
Yeah, from why this Pleco is a must-have for any serious collector to, and this is the really cool part, how to breed them successfully.
Because, let's be honest, breeding is where the real magic happens, right?
Absolutely. I mean, imagine bringing new life into the world, tiny little L333s swimming around. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's start with the basics.
Sounds good.
Now, I've always thought of Plecos as algae eaters, you know, those peaceful guys that clean up the tank.
Right, the classic image.
But get this, the L333 throws a wrench in that whole idea. They're carnivores.
Yeah, that's one of the things that makes them so unique and so much fun to keep.
So no more algae wafers for these guys. What do they eat?
We'll get into the specifics of their diet a bit later, but yeah, think more along the lines of meaty foods, protein-rich stuff.
Okay, color me intrigued. So, let's rewind a bit.
Sure.
For those who are maybe hearing about the L333 for the first time, can you give us a little background on these captivating catfish?
Absolutely. So first off, you might be surprised to know that the L333 doesn't actually have a formal scientific name.
Really? So how do we even know what we're talking about?
Well, it's part of what we call the L number system, which is used to classify a whole bunch of plecos that haven't been formally described yet by science.
So it's like a placeholder name, like a cool code name.
Pretty much, yeah. It's kind of like a secret society of awesome plecos just waiting to be officially discovered.
I love that. So L333, it's like their undercover name?
Exactly.
I like it. Okay, so tell me more about their origins. Where do these secret agent plecos come from?
Well, they hail from the Rio Xingu in Brazil, and it's a river known for its incredible beauty and powerful currents.
Okay, so we're talking fast-flowing water, not some lazy, slow-moving river.
Exactly, and that's actually really important when it comes to understanding their care in the aquarium, because they need a similar environment to thrive.
Makes sense, so we'll have to recreate that Rio Xingu vibe for them. But before we get into all that, paint me a picture. What does an L333 actually look like?
Well, aside from those captivating black and yellow-white markings, they grow to about 12 to 15 centimeters long.
Okay, so not tiny, but not huge either.
Right, a good manageable size for most aquariums, and each individual has a slightly different pattern, kind of like a fingerprint.
Oh, wow, so it's like having a unique work of art in your tank.
Exactly.
So how do you tell the males from the females? Are there any telltale signs?
Yeah, there are a few ways to differentiate them. Mature males develop these bristly structures called odontodes on their pectoral fins.
Odontodes, huh?
Yeah, they're like tiny teeth, but on their fins.
Wow, fish are weird.
Yeah.
So what purpose do these odontodes serve?
Well, they're thought to help males during breeding displays and maybe even for defense against rivals.
Interesting. So it's like a combination of charm and weaponry.
You could say that. Males also tend to have broader and slightly shorter heads compared to females.
So a little more rugged looking.
Yeah, you could say that too. But the odontodes are usually the most reliable indicator, especially once they reach maturity.
Okay, so those are the key things to look for when trying to sex them.
Exactly.
Got it. Now let's shift gears and talk about what it takes to create the perfect L333 paradise right in our own homes, because obviously we want to keep them happy and healthy.
Of course, and replicating their natural habitat is crucial for that.
Right, because we can't just plop them in any old tank and expect them to thrive.
Exactly. So, first things first, tank size is important.
Okay, so how big are we talking?
Well, for a group of L333s, you'll want a tank that's at least 151 liters.
Okay, that's a decent size.
Yeah, and if you're thinking about breeding, you'll want to go even bigger. A minimum of 113.5 liters is recommended for a breeding tank.
So these guys need their space.
They do. They're active swimmers, especially at night, and they need room to explore and establish their territories.
Okay, so tank size checked off the list. Now what about the stuff we put inside the tank? What kind of substrate do they prefer?
They really like a sandy substrate or fine gravel, something that's comfortable for them to move around on and sift through.
I can see that. I mean, they're bottom dwellers, right? So they spend a lot of time down there.
Exactly. And a soft substrate is gentler on their barbels.
Barbels?
Yeah, those whisker-like things around their mouths that they use to sense food and navigate.
Oh, right. So no sharp gravel that could hurt those sensitive barbels.
Exactly.
Got it. What about decorations? Are they fans of plants and rocks and all that jazz?
Oh yeah, they love to have places to hide and explore.
Okay, so what kind of stuff should we be putting in there?
Driftwood is a must-have for any L333 tank.
Driftwood. Got it.
Yeah, it not only looks great, but it also provides hiding spots and releases tannins into the water, which can help create a more natural, slightly acidic environment.
Oh, that's cool. It's like a little piece of the Amazon rainforest right in their tank.
Exactly. And don't forget about rocks.
Rocks, got it.
Yeah, you can create caves and crevices with rocks, which are perfect hiding spots for them.
And I bet they also love to graze on the algae that grows on the rocks.
Actually, that's a common misconception. Remember we talked about them being carnivores?
Right, got it.
While they might nibble on some algae here and there, it's not their main food source.
So we'll get to what they actually eat in a bit, but back to the tank setup for a second. With all that swimming and exploring they do, I'm guessing filtration is super important.
Absolutely. A strong filter is essential for L333s.
Okay, so what kind of filter would you recommend?
A canister filter is a great option because it provides a lot of filtration power and can handle the bioload of these guys.
The bioload meaning?
The amount of waste they produce, basically.
Right.
And remember, they come from a river with high oxygen levels, so adding an air stone to create extra bubbles is a good idea too.
Okay, so lots of oxygen, got it. What about lighting? Do they need a bright, sunny tank?
Actually, no, they prefer subdued lighting.
Really?
Yeah, in their natural habitat, they're often found in shaded areas under rocks and logs.
So more like a dimly lit lounge than a sun-drenched beach?
Exactly. You can even use floating plants to create some shade in the tank.
Okay, so driftwood, rocks, subdued lighting. We're creating a cozy little cave for them.
Pretty much. And one last thing to consider is water parameters.
All right, the chemistry of the water.
Exactly. They prefer a temperature between 28 and 32 degrees Celsius.
Okay, so on the warmer side.
Yep, and a pH between 6.0 and 7.5 with soft to moderately hard water.
So not too acidic, not too alkaline, somewhere in the middle.
Right, and regular water changes are crucial to maintain good water quality.
Of course, I mean, that's important for all fish, right?
Absolutely, but especially for L333s because they're sensitive to changes in water parameters.
Okay, so we've got the tank set up down, but now I'm really curious about this whole carnivore thing.
Yeah, let's talk food.
Because I have to admit, the image of a pleco chowing down on meat is pretty wild. So what do they actually eat? What does a carnivorous pleco's diet consist of?
Well, their diet should be high in protein.
Okay, so meaty stuff.
Exactly. You can feed them a variety of foods, like high-quality carnivore pellets.
Okay, so those are specifically formulated for meat-eating fish.
Exactly. They also do well on Repashy gel food. There are some formulas made specifically for carnivores.
Repashy, got it. Anything else?
And you can also give them bottom feeder tablets that are high in protein.
Okay, so pellets, gel food, tablets, all packed with protein. But what about some treats? Can we spice things up a bit?
No, absolutely. They love live or frozen foods.
Okay, so what kind of goodies are we talking about?
Things like bloodworms, blackworms, brine shrimp, they go crazy for those.
So it's like a little protein-packed buffet for our plecos.
Pretty much. And you can even add some blanched zucchini or squash occasionally for some variety.
Okay, so a bit of veggies now and then, but mostly meat.
Exactly. One important thing to remember is that they're nocturnal feeders.
Meaning?
They're most active at night, so the best time to feed them is at sunset or after you've turned off the lights.
Oh, that's cool. I bet it's fun to watch them come alive at night.
Absolutely. It's like having a secret underwater show just for you.
I love that. So we've covered their ideal habitat, their unique diet, but what about their personality? Are they social butterflies or grumpy hermits? What's their temperament like?
Well, they're not exactly social butterflies, but they're not overly aggressive either. They're moderately territorial.
Okay, so somewhere in between.
Exactly. And the males especially can get a bit territorial, particularly during breeding season.
So we need to be mindful of that when setting up their tank and choosing tank mates.
Absolutely. We'll get into more detail about that in a bit.
Sounds good, because I'm already starting to picture a beautiful, dimly lit tank with driftwood and rocks and these awesome little plecos cruising around.
Yeah, it's definitely a sight to behold.
And knowing that they're not your typical algae-eating pleco, but these cool carnivorous creatures, it just adds another layer of intrigue to them.
I completely agree. They're definitely a conversation starter.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, but I think we've only just scratched the surface of what makes the L333 King Tiger Pleco so special.
Oh yeah, there's still so much more to discover.
And that's what we're going to do next. We'll delve into the fascinating world of L333 breeding, the challenges and the rewards, and why this is a fish that truly captivates the hearts of aquarists worldwide.
Absolutely. It's a journey you won't want to miss. And that journey begins with understanding what makes these fish so unique and sought after by hobbyists.
Right, because we talked about their looks, their carnivorous diet, all that good stuff, but what really makes the L333 stand out? I mean, why should someone consider adding one to their tank?
Well, there are a lot of reasons, actually. I mean, their appearance is obviously a big one.
Yeah, they're definitely eye-catching. That black and yellow-white pattern is mesmerizing.
Exactly. And no two L333s have the exact same pattern. It's like they each have their own fingerprint.
I love that. It's like having a little living work of art in your aquarium.
Right. But it goes beyond just their looks. Their care requirements are a bit more specialized than your average Pleco.
Yeah, we talked about the need for a larger tank, the specific water parameters, the carnivorous diet.
And that, I think, is part of what makes them so appealing to a lot of hobbyists. It's a bit more of a challenge.
So it's not just a set it and forget it kind of fish.
Not really. You have to be more hands-on, more attentive to their needs.
And for some people, that's part of the fun, right?
Exactly. It's the challenge, the sense of accomplishment when you create a thriving environment for them.
And then there's the breeding aspect, which we're going to get into soon.
Yeah.
But on just the fact that they can be bred in captivity, that adds another layer of intrigue, right?
Oh, absolutely. And watching them breed, seeing the male guard the eggs, it's truly fascinating.
It's like having a little piece of the Amazon right in your living room.
Exactly. And it's also really rewarding to be able to breed them successfully.
Right, because it means you've created the perfect environment for them to thrive and reproduce.
And you're contributing to the conservation of the species because it reduces the demand for wild-caught specimens.
That's a great point. So it's a win-win situation.
Exactly.
So for someone who's on the fence about getting an L333, what would you say is the single most compelling reason to take the plunge?
I would say it's the sense of discovery that comes with keeping them. Every aspect of their care, from setting up the tank to observing their behavior, it's a learning experience.
Like you're constantly uncovering new things about them.
Exactly, and that's what keeps it so interesting. You're never really done learning about them.
Yeah, who knows, maybe you'll even discover the secrets to breeding them successfully.
Right, and then you can share your knowledge with others and contribute to the growing community of L333 enthusiasts.
I love that. It's like a journey of exploration, a constant quest for knowledge. But it all starts with taking that first step, doing your research, and making sure you're prepared to provide them with the care they need.
That's absolutely crucial. Responsible fish keeping always starts with research.
So to our listener, we encourage you to delve deeper into the world of L333s, explore online forums, connect with experienced breeders, ask questions.
There's a wealth of information out there, and the more you learn, the more you'll appreciate these amazing fish.
And speaking of learning and appreciation, there's something else to think about as you research L333s, something that's often overlooked.
And that is?
The importance of understanding their genetic lineage.
Ah, yes, that's a crucial point, especially for those who are interested in breeding.
Okay, so we're talking about going beyond just finding a reputable breeder. We're talking about actually tracing the ancestry of the fish.
Exactly, because you want to make sure you're getting a true L333 and not a hybrid.
So there are hybrids out there.
Unfortunately, yes, and hybridization can dilute the unique characteristics of the L333.
I see. So it's about preserving the purity of the species?
Yeah, right, and it also makes breeding more challenging if you're working with hybrids.
So how can someone ensure they're getting a purebred L333?
By finding a breeder who knows the lineage of their fish, who can provide you with information about the parents, the grandparents, even further back if possible.
So it's like a family tree for fish.
Exactly.
It's like we're encouraging our listeners to become L333 genealogists.
In a way, yes.
And that's really cool because it adds a whole other level of depth to the hobby.
It shows a commitment to understanding and preserving the species.
And it ensures that future generations can enjoy the beauty and uniqueness of the true L333 King Tiger Pleco.
Well said.
It's been fascinating diving into the world of L333s with you.
It's always a pleasure to talk about these fascinating fish.
And I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about, from the basics of their care to the complexities of their genetics.
Hopefully we've inspired some people to take the plunge and explore the world of L333s for themselves.
Because it truly is a rewarding experience, and one that can bring years of enjoyment and discovery.
I couldn't agree more.
Now, let's move on to the main event, the part that many of you have been waiting for. The Art and Science of Breeding, L333 King Tiger Plecos.
This is where things get really exciting.
So if you're ready to unlock the secrets of L333 breeding, stay tuned because we're about to take you on a journey into the fascinating world of fish parenthood. I mean, it's amazing, right? You start with this one fish and it leads you down this whole rabbit hole of knowledge.
It really does. It's like a microcosm of the natural world, all contained within your aquarium.
And with the L333, it's even more so because they're not your typical run-of-the-mill Pleco.
Definitely not. They're special in so many ways.
So for our listener who's maybe on the edge of their seat right now, thinking about getting a group of these amazing L333s, what would you say to them? What's the one thing they should keep in mind as they embark on this journey?
I would say embrace the learning process. Don't be afraid to ask questions, connect with other hobbyists, and most importantly, do your research.
Research, research, research. That's the key, right?
Absolutely, because knowledge is power when it comes to fish keeping. The more you know, the better equipped you'll be to provide the best possible care for your L333s.
And that's what it's all about, right? Creating a healthy, thriving environment for these fascinating creatures.
Exactly, and that's where the real reward lies, in seeing them flourish in your care.
So to our listener, if you're ready for a challenge, if you're fascinated by the underwater world, and if you're looking for a truly extraordinary fish to add to your collection, the L333 King Tiger Pleco might be just what you're searching for.
But remember, it's not just about the aesthetics. It's about understanding their needs, respecting their natural behaviors, and being a responsible steward of this unique species.
Well said. And with that, I think we've covered just about everything there is to know about the incredible L333 King Tiger Pleco.
From their striking looks and carnivorous diet to the complexities of breeding and preserving their genetic lineage.
It's been an incredible deep dive, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, one of my favorites, for sure.
And we hope you, our listener, have enjoyed it as well, maybe learned a thing or two, and perhaps even been inspired to add an L333 or two to your own aquarium.
And if you do, we wish you all the best on your L333 journey.
Happy fish keeping, everyone.